Hey everybody, this is Jo. I'm here in my Houston, Texas garden, and I'm in Zone 9A. And it's the end of September, and we have had, and this is the hottest September on record. It's looking like it's going to be. And the summer has been completely brutal. And so I'm really happy to see how much green there is left in the garden. And so I thought I'd show you what I have got going and maybe talk about some ideas that I have for later in the fall and in the spring. So let me walk you back. Of course, the Cape Plumbago, magnificent. Oh, before I walk back, I'll do this. So some of these coneflowers, the plants themselves, these were self-sown. Look. Wonderful. That one's the freshest looking. These are all self-sown and have bloomed off and on, and then currently this one is blooming. This one's kind of wacky looking, but I've got some pretty fresh blooms on here. And then I've got some other varieties of coneflowers here. These are with the long skinny leaves, I think are the Echinacea pallida, which is native to kind of Kansas. I think you can find it native in Texas, but I think it's more of a plains plant, and I love it. It's so pretty. So the daylilies, the plants themselves look wonderful. And I'll show you around a little more. The daylilies, just all over, they've seemed to not minded the heat or the drought, and so it's been all right. So if I can walk through here without stepping on things. Now this is salvia indigo spires, which is really taller than I want, and it's very floppy. It's a very pretty plant, but I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do because it just has fallen over and taken up more space than it should in this part of the garden, and covered up plants I really wanted to grow as well. And then this is that little rose. It's maybe the second flower. It has not been happy in the drought, and I need to clear some of this out. I may just pull all of this out and give this some more room and put something smaller over here. Now this is that salvia Amistad that I chopped back really, really hard in the middle of the summer, and it is getting ready to bloom. Here's the beginnings of one little bloom spike, but mostly yesterday, oh, here's one that's already blooming. Mostly this one is going to bloom. I've set it back a little bit because yesterday I went through and pinched it back so I could double the number of flowers on it, and so that should be even really, really full with flowers in a couple of weeks. Now this is the one that I also bought that I thought was Amante, but it clearly isn't. The leaves are different, a little bit different. The flowers are a little bit different color. It obviously bloomed quicker. I cut it back all in the same day. And this one has come back and bloomed, and this one is not quite bloomed yet over here. And this plant gets ratty really fast. It blooms, and then the plant itself looks terrible. The leaves, you can see they're already looking kind of ratty. And this plant is a much nicer looking overall plant. So I wish I had more of this and none of this, but it's okay. So one of the things I'm gonna do is clear out a bunch of this and put some taller plants back here. This is all on the ground is frog fruit. It's a native Texas plant, and it is a butterfly host, and it has sweet little flowers, and it's a great ground cover. But I've got so much of it, I feel like I can dig some of this out, put it somewhere else if I want to, and plant some taller things in here. And then I've got a weed. This whole thing is a weed. But you can see back in there I've got salvia Amistad that's purple. And then this is a rose that I didn't dare prune. My roses usually on a regular Texas Houston year, I would prune this on the 1st of September, and I would have a huge flush by October. And you can see it's a terrible scruffy looking rose. It's got a few little flowers on it, but I didn't dare prune it. I think it would have really damaged and distressed the rose by pruning it when it was 100 degrees. But now we got an inch and a half of rain 2 days ago, all in about 45 minutes. And that made me so happy. And it really, I think, made a difference. And right now the sky, I can hear thunder, but I don't have a lot of hope for actual rain. I've got this really great gomphrena back here that's in a flower pot right in there to lift it a little bit higher. I would love it if the gomphrena was another foot higher. And then I've got this salvia leucantha, this beautiful gray-green, sort of native Texas, native to Mexico, and I treat it as a native Texas plant. We're close enough, and it's last year I had it growing through a support, and it got too tall and fell over. So I've been trying to keep it from flopping over. And so this year I Chelsea chopped it in the middle of the summer, and then I've chopped it probably 2 more times. And so you can see how big it got and puffy, and now it's starting to bloom, but doesn't really falling over. With that giant rain, it did lay down a little bit with that huge rain 2 days ago. But I'm pleased with how I was able to get it to look like I want it to look by just cutting it back all through the summer. And so let me show you. It's got fuzzy little flowers, and they're just lovely. And you can see it's going to look even better. It gives me a big bloom in the fall. Sometimes it'll bloom in the spring a little bit, but it never looks as good as it does in the fall. And then I've got a penta, hot pink penta back there. And so I'm pretty happy with the heat and the drought that we've had to have this pretty, and then this beautiful gray mound, and then I've got this beautiful these beautiful grasses right here, and then I can go around. I've got some purple salvia over here it doesn't look great, but I've got these beautiful crinums. This one blooms pink, this one never blooms, but look at that structure. I mean, it is fantastic. I love that plant. Even if it never blooms, I'm okay with that. And then back in here, if you've watched before, you know that I've discovered this pink salvia. There it is. I thought I was getting salvia, coral nymph salvia, and this is not it. Because I have some other that I know is it, and this doesn't have, it's just slightly different. But it has self-seeded. I didn't put this plant here, but it's fantastic. I've got another one down here that's just self-sown, and I've been pulling off seed heads and sprinkling them everywhere, and I will sort of edit out what I don't want in the spring. I think this is coral salvia, which is a native Texas plant. I thought it was only red, hence the name coral salvia, but it does come in pink and in white. And looky here, I noticed this yesterday that I've got some white ones as well. And so I'm thrilled with that. I'm gonna sprinkle it in everywhere and then just see what happens. The other thing I'm sprinkling everywhere are gomphrena seeds, because like we know that this self-sowed, this huge gomphrena is self-sown. And so I've been pulling seeds off and sprinkling them. And again, I'll just edit out what I don't want in the spring. And I'm doing the same thing here with this cleome. This cleome came up in just a couple of months, like maybe 2 months ago. And you can see all the little seed heads, little seed pods on it. And so you get 1 million seeds. And so I've just been, when the seed heads dry, I've been popping them open. And let's see if I can show you. Let's see if my phone will focus, and I can show you the little seeds in there. There's one, little bitty. And so I'm just throwing them all over the place, and I will edit out what I don't want in the spring. But this makes me want to, I may have mentioned this, to take cleome seeds and throw some out. I'm going to have a jillion. Throw them out all during the summer so that maybe I can have a succession of them come up. Now over here I've got my, these are jalapenos I never got a single jalapeno off of. Last year I had more than I could, grew them from seed. These are from the store, already as starts. Last year I grew some from seed, and in a heirloom variety, and I had more jalapenos, was giving them away. I had so many. And so I probably will rip these out and put some better ones in. And then you can see I've moved my flower pot today over there. And my basil all fell over in the rain, but it's still beautiful. But I will, in a month or two, when it cools off a lot, I will put parsley in here. And it is, if you go back and look at videos from maybe April, it was this cloud of pale yellow flowers. It was just amazing. And actually the black swallowtail butterflies picked that the most, the flowers of the parsley to eat. And so, for their caterpillars to eat. And so it was so beautiful. So I will plant that here again when I'm done with this. I'll make some pesto or something, pull it out, and plant some here. It's a cool weather plant. So if I planted it now, it's just too hot. But I think that parsley might be my signature plant for the year, because it was this enormous, like 4 foot tall, 4.5 foot tall, maybe even, just cloud of flowers. It was so beautiful. And so I sort of imagine, and they came from 2 4-inch pots, and they were enormous. It was probably 4 by 3, and I can imagine having little clouds, puffs of yellow that it gets hot, I'll pull it back out, but dropped through. The problem is I need my garden to be 5 times this big so I can grow everything I want in the way I want it. I run out of room. I have too many ideas, which you guys probably have the same problem, where you want to grow everything. And so I think I'm going to try to make the parsley be my little special thing, just for spring. And then you can see I went to Buchanan's Native Plants and bought, these are already closed up for the day, rock rose and rattlesnake master. And I already had some of this little business, and it's doing really well. Oh, look at the little bee. Is he sleeping? What are you doing, buddy? He's sleeping, little native bee. This is called Gulf Vervain. It's a verbena that I'm hoping will kind of take the place, get big and tall, and take the place of Verbena bonariensis. Although I will seed that out here. I had some grow last year, just self-seeded. It was fantastic. And then this, it doesn't look great now, but it will look great in the spring. This is called Palafoxia, I think. Let's find out together. Rosy Palafoxia rosea. And it's native to Texas. I've seen huge, beautiful meadows full of it, and it's just gorgeous. And then I bought a bunch of more fennel for the butterflies, and then I bought a swamp milkweed, which I've never grown before. It will be pink, and it will be about 4 feet tall. This one is a cultivar called Cinderella. Let's see how tall. 3 to 4 feet tall, full sun. And so I'm going to tuck it in here because I have my home grown from seed aquatic milkweed right there. So I'm trying to keep, one of the things I've heard about is that what you want to do is make an island of, like if the monarchs are going to come in the spring, try to put your milkweed together. There's my brother. Hello. You are going to be on YouTube. What are you up to?
Just woke up from my nap.
All right. We'll beat it for another 15 minutes. Because I'm making a video and I already messed it up once. This is round 2. Say goodbye. So, what was I saying? Okay, So you want to try to keep it so that your caterpillars or monarchs are going to have their host plant sort of in an island together. There's not one here and one there and one here and one there. Try to keep sort of, that's an idea. And I'm doing the same thing here where I'll put fennel and parsley in the same spot, close by to each other for the black swallowtail butterflies. Okay, I have a confession to make. So this is that nepeta, which I've been growing. It's a cat mint, and I have been growing it, and it has been so beautiful, and it had, you know, blue flowers on it, and I've said, gosh, you know, it's so gorgeous. I haven't done anything to it. I'm not giving it any extra, you know, attention or anything. And then when I was weeding, I realized that it is planted right next to a sprinkler head. So no, I'm not giving it extra attention, but the sprinkler system is watering it twice a week right at the root. So fair warning, it's not as hardy as I thought it was going to be. Now all of my, over here as well, all of my daylilies just look fantastic. And then this is that little aquatic milkweed, and while I was gone, a bunch of its little seed pods popped open. So I keep picking up little milkweed seeds and collecting them every day. I keep coming out and finding more down in the mulch. And then I weeded this big space. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to put there, but I have been throwing out a lot of that pink salvia, the seeds. And then you can see, and I've got a few zinnia seeds that have popped up. And I don't think I'm really going to grow zinnias unless they are the profusion zinnias that stay small. I'm tired of them all falling over. I've got 1,000 zinnia seeds saved, and I don't really want them anymore. These are the three native Gulf Coast muhly grasses, and they've looked terrible all year. They're finally popping up, but this one in the middle looks horrible. And then I realized that Mrs. Doubtfire is sleeping on it. So I put this little bird cage to try to deter her, and instead she just crawled under the bird cage and slept on it anyway. So at least now I know what happened. So I've got some natives going here. We've got a Stokes aster. I had 3. 2 made it through the weather. I think the third one's gone. This, I think, is a native sage, native salvia. I can't think of the name of it, but if you really want to know, I can look in my book. It's just electric blue, and it's doing well. And then I've got, this is a native skullcap, and it's looking a little scruffy, but it's blooming. And when it cools off, you can see it's got new growth at the bottom, and when it cools off, I'll probably cut it back a little bit and see if I can get it to flesh out, but it's just too hot still. And then this amazing firecracker gomphrena is in that pot, and it's still just holding, you know, it's holding forth, it's holding the show down here. And then here it's sort of closed up for the night, but you can see how big this is. That pink salvia again. Look how big. That's one plant right there. And the day after the storm, when it cooled off and it rained, and this thing was just covered with pink flowers. And so it sort of pooped out. They kind of close, it seems to me, in the middle of the day or in the end of the day. But it was just beautiful. And my little threadleaf coreopsis is just doing terrific in this heat. And I'm real happy with that. It's been finicky in years past. And then I've got some coneflowers that are looking a little finicky, but they're all right. There's a white one there. And then these coneflowers back here are looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. The roses are trying to bloom, but the plant themselves, they just look awful. But it's like, I'll give you a little rose here and there. But it's in pretty sad shape. All these roses look terrible. They would really benefit from cooler weather and a big clip back. So this is becoming a very long video, so I'm just going to do one side and I'll do the other side in another video tomorrow or the next day. So I've got salvia mystic spires here, which is my favorite one, and I think this is maybe what I'm going to put here. I might put I'm going to move some salvias around, and I might put some salvia farinacea, which is native to Texas. I might put that here. What I've just clipped back this week, and I missed one, this is salvia big blue, but you can see it. What I've noticed is, like, when this is through blooming at the bottom, it's just gray. When this is through blooming at the bottom, it doesn't drop its dark leaves, and so it looks brown from afar. And so you can even see, I'm sure from here, the gray versus the brown at the bottom. And so that's kind of why I'm not interested in growing that much. I've been throwing those pink salvia seeds all back in here. I have many high hopes. This is such a fun thing. This Cleome lasted all year, and then I clipped it back, and now I think it looks like a candelabra. I'm in love with this plant. It makes me want to cut all of them, trim them all back, and make them all grow like this. But I just think it's awesome. I love it. And it's got, this is a color. That one over there is white. This one's got the pink on it, two-tone. So I'm really going to be saving and sprinkling these seeds here. And then here, I did trim back a bit the Amistad salvia a while back, maybe 3 weeks ago, and it's really come back and, you know, re-blooming really nicely. And I don't know if you can tell on the video that it's just purple, 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 purple everywhere. But it's so dark, it's hard to see unless you're up close. Which is my only complaint about Amistad, is that I put it in the middle of the garden, or sort of the back of the garden, because it's so tall, but then I can't see the flowers very well. So every year I think I should pull that up, but I never do. The thing that suffered back here is this native Gulf Coast penstemon. One of them has died, and you know, some of them look okay, but some of them look pretty bad, and they did not bloom much in this heat. The bog sage, Salvia uliginosa, that beautiful blue, is doing well, and it would appreciate a cutback when it cools off a little bit. The blue mist flower, which is native to Texas, it doesn't bloom back here. It doesn't have enough sun back here, but it looks, well, it looks like it might bloom a little bit. Hopefully it will. This is the first time I've seen a bud on it back here, but it blooms fine in the front yard. And then the last thing I'll show you is my mom's fire spike, which blooms in the fall and is a great plant. And it comes in red, but you can also get pink. This was my mom's, and so I have hers that's red, but I have a little bit of pink in the front. Well, you guys, thanks for taking a look. I hope your garden is growing beautifully, and that you are having some fun in the garden like I am. I'm finally getting to play. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.